Yeah, it sort of reminds me of like when you see the videos where it's like the boyfriends of like the
Yes, we
typical...
laugh over those a lot. They're so true.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
No, lower.
Exactly. You're not looking at the camera.
What is it? Sunset hard hands.
Yeah.
Sunset hard hands.
So, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Inside the Lines. My guest this week is Vanessa Ulrich. She's going to be here to chat with us all things social media and experiences in Baltimore here.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for being on. So, our first big task of the day is we have a brand new coloring book that we're debuting this week. So, we'll kind of just go through, and if there's one that just pops out to you, you let me know, and that'll be the palette that we'll use for this episode.
I mean, that's pretty tempting, right?
That's
with
a pretty good one.
Stick.
That's a pretty good one.
Pretty perfect.
I think that might be... I mean, I don't know if we'll get any better than that. I mean, we can keep going a little bit, but that one was pretty dope. Which one are you feeling?
You know, as much as I love how the selfie stick goes with the social media theme, I'm such a high tea fan, and also she's wearing this beautiful dress here that I just really want to color in and add some texture to.
Okay.
So I'm going to go high tea.
Okay, let's do it. So let's put this guy to the side. Cool. There we go. All right. We can start diving in here. So, I guess easiest first question to start with. Your Instagram name is the Primpy Sheep.
It is.
So tell me about the Primpy Sheep and where that kind of comes from.
That is a good question. I get asked that a lot, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It dates all the way back to high school. It's a mashup of two inside jokes with my high school friends.
Okay.
The first being that I would always wear like red lipstick and heels to class just because I like dressing up. Hence the primpy side, because they thought I was crazy. They were more, jeans, t-shirt, and sneakers people. And then the sheep part, because I love wool and I would always geek out over textiles, and that was just something that they couldn't relate to, and they thought it was pretty quirky. So, your friends show you their love by making fun of you.
Yes.
So that is the origin of the Primpy Sheep, and it was actually my AIM screen name back in the day too.
Ooh, AIM.
Yes, going way back.
I remember those days. Those were fun. Get all the nice little sound effects and all that.
Leave some song lyrics and your signature.
Yeah, your little away message.
I hope people understand me.
Just put up some some My Chemical Romance or something like that up there, for sure.
Exactly. But yeah, the name stuck, and when I was in college, I used to make jewelry and sell it at the food co-op under the name The Primpy Sheep. So when it came time to start the blog, I was like, I could go to all the trouble of trying to come up with something I liked better, but it just felt like it was already an identity and part of me. So
nice.
I just rolled with it.
Yeah, of course. So what are some like local businesses that you really like or have worked with?
Yeah, actually this past Wednesday, I just actually executed a really fun Baltimore launch event for a local skincare brand called Skin Can Do.
Oh, cool.
It's women owned, it's all organic, it's made locally. The owner is based in Silver Spring.
Nice.
She has a little like spa that used to be in DC that is now going to be in Silver Spring. And she wanted to, she's had a great DC presence and she's worked with a lot of DC influencers, but she wanted to come to Baltimore. So she asked me if I could leverage my contacts to plan an event for her and recruit some Baltimore ambassadors for her. And I did that, and it was a fabulous event. It was at the Hotel Revival in their garden room, which is so perfect because her spa in DC is called the Garden Spa.
Oh, cool.
So it just meshed really, really well. And then I introduced her to Mint and Major, which is a local retailer that started online but is now in the shops at Kenilworth. And they carry the owner has the most fabulous taste. I mean, anything that, like, before it's trendy, she'll carry it. But she also has an eye to just really, like, quality pieces. And so I reached out to her and asked if she'd be interested in carrying a skincare brand, because I think she'd worked with a couple of skincare brands, but I hadn't really seen, like, a firm line of skincare on the Mint and Major site. She does a lot of accessories and jewelry and things like that. So
cool.
Anyway, I made that introduction and it worked out really well. And now Mint and Major is the exclusive Baltimore retailer for Skin Can Do. So
Wow.
that was a lot of fun to work on that project.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Is the blog and Instagram space, is that sort of like your own entity, and then do you still like have, what you would call like a day job and all that fun stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yep, gotta pay those bills.
Yes.
As much as I love blogging and it is a passion project, and I do work with brands and get paid from time to time. It is I think very hard to earn a living income that way.
Yes.
So I do work full-time in marketing for a marketing agency. I'm a public relations director at a company actually right here down the road in Canton.
Oh, cool. Yep, that is. It's like 20 minutes from here.
Yeah, so that's my day job.
Nice.
But there's definitely a lot of skills overlap. I mean, I know I'm a marketing communications person at heart, and so while I love being on the more creative side of working with fashion brands and lifestyle brands, there's definitely a skills overlap between my professional life and my hustle.
Awesome. So kind of what got you into the marketing world in the first place? Like, where did that sort of passion sort of evolve from?
Yeah, gosh, I just feel like I've always been a communicator, and so it was a case of, what can I study in school that will help me make money that way? I've always enjoyed writing, so I could have gone the journalism route. I thought about studying graphic design for a hot second or art history, but I ended up doing marketing, and I like to think that the different ways that marketing can be applied, you do get to at times loop in, those different more creative areas with like whether it's writing or art direction. I do some art direction with our graphic designers at work. And then I have my master's in design management from the Savannah College of Art and Design. So that was my way of looping in a little bit more of a creative angle to marketing as well.
Yeah.
Really the communication side of marketing is my jam.
And that's a good school too. That's I've heard good things about. What is that? Because that's SCAD, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. In Savannah, I lived there for a year. Did a 1-year intensive program. It was a lot of fun. And it is a great school, and it's a beautiful city.
I was going to say Savannah. I love Savannah. I've been down there. I've only been there once, but I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's great for a weekend trip as well. I've been meaning to go back. I was back 2 years ago. I met up with 3 of my girlfriends from grad school. We did like a reunion trip, which was so much fun.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like it would have been a blast.
Yeah, and open container law. You can walk and drink
that's
at the
true.
same time.
Yeah, that's true. Because isn't that where they have like, is that where they have the whole like walk area where you can go to all the different bars and stuff? Yep.
And all the squares, which make it seem like it's like, oh, we've only walked 4 squares. Well, each square is kind of far apart, so we've actually walked 4 miles.
Exactly. Yeah. It's pretty like spread out, but it doesn't feel that way when you're just kind of like exploring and stuff.
And it's
nice.
so beautiful. You just get absorbed in the walking.
Exactly.
Yeah, great spot.
For sure. So like, is it with the more social media aspect of photography side and all that, is it that you have like kind of a cavalcade of like photographers that you like to work with, or is it just like you kind of, again, same deal where you like find people's work that you like online? Like, how is that, side of it working, like on the photo side and things like that?
Yeah, so for the first 1.5 years of the blog, basically until like mid this past summer, I was definitely working with photographers in the area. I would find people whose work I liked and reached out to them. And then, we'd shoot once and I'd see how I felt. And, there were definitely photographers that like I reached back out to and work with like repeatedly.
Yeah. People that you find that you just enjoy working with, of course.
Yeah, and people where it was like mutually beneficial. So photographers who are really looking to build up their portfolio, and who would benefit from the exposure of me posting their photos and calling them out, as being the talent behind the lens. So I did that for 1.5 years, mostly because the first time I tried to do a photo shoot with my husband, It ended horribly. He was like super pissed off and I was in tears. And, as wonderful and supporting as he is, he just has no desire to be a photographer or do photography.
Sometimes it's
which
just,
is legit.
You can be like partners in life, but
exactly.
the creative things just don't mash up.
Mm-hmm. But I think part of the problem is, and I'll take full credit for this, I could envision what I wanted in my mind's eye, and I didn't know how to tell him to get there. Yep. So I needed to work with, at least semi-professional photographers who at least knew how to work their camera so that I could say, this is what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. How can we work towards this together as a team? So after a year and a half of doing that and really understanding how to model, because there's work that goes into that.
That's a whole art in itself.
It is. So I picked up some skills there, and then with photographers and just listening to them talk about their craft and the setup of a shot, I would ask them, how do you get that effect? Or, I see that you're doing something a certain way. Why is that? I feel like I was able to learn enough that I was finally comfortable getting my own DSLR. And now my husband takes 99% of my photos.
Awesome.
And
so it's kind of come full circle.
Yeah, it has. It's come full circle. He still has no desire to be a photographer, and it is 100% a labor of love. But at least it's the kind of thing where I sit him or stand him where I want to be, and I set up the camera exactly the way I want it. And then we just switch places, and it makes it really easy and seamless, and it saves me time because instead of having to drive down to DC and meet up with somebody, he and I can go out to lunch, take 20 minutes of photos, and we're done.
Yeah, I was gonna say, make a nice little date of it and just have fun.
He definitely sees the benefit to him being the sole photographer, although in his heart of hearts he's still why do we have to do this? But I love you, so I'll do it anyway.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of when you see the videos where it's the boyfriends of the
yes,
the
we
typical...
laugh over those a lot. They're so true.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
No, lower.
Exactly. You're not looking at the camera.
What is it? Sunset heart hands.
Yeah.
Sunset heart hands.
Oh, they're great.
So funny.
So what are if somebody's out there and they're thinking about kind of getting into the game of doing the Instagram stuff and building a sort of a brand presence, what are some thoughts or tips or advice that you would give to somebody like that?
Yeah, I would definitely say make sure that whatever you're posting or focusing yourself on, it is something that you actually enjoy. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to be spending time on it and you don't enjoy it, then that just sounds terrible. And don't try to force yourself into the mold of how anybody else is doing anything. By all means, be inspired by other bloggers, but if you're trying to do something exactly the way somebody else did it, then one, you're not differentiating yourself. And two, isn't it more fun to just be unique and be yourself? So just, being authentic and taking an authentic approach. But I guess also it does help to define your goals in the beginning, what your brand is and what your brand is not. Mm-hmm. From the very beginning, I was I'm really not a beauty or a fitness or a food blogger. I'm never going to come up with recipes and post about them. That's just not what I want my blog to be all about.
Yeah, sure.
I do cover skincare just in the context of literally just the products I use. Mm-hmm. I don't accept product from 10 brands that I then review and post about. It's just what's organic to my life. And I'm just happy to share what I'm already using. Mm-hmm. And kind of the same with fitness. I do yoga. That's really the only type of workout that I do, and so every once in a while I'll post something about kind of yoga looks, but you'll never catch me in a tennis skirt on a tennis court. That just it just wouldn't work for me because it's not what I actually do.
Exactly. Because I think that's what I found just learning myself over the years is just I think one of the biggest things that people forget to do is just keeping the consistency, like you're saying. One day they might be posting about, some kind of travel thing, and then the next day it might be some kind of, food thing, and it's just there's these weird things that people you're not thinking about, just keeping it consistent, and even just a look. What I noticed about what you do with your stuff is you have a consistent look. You're obviously shooting with a DSLR camera. It's not just some small phone that you're just picking up, taking a quick shot. There's thought that's obviously going into it. And I think that's what a lot of people miss, is that, like, that's the other end of it, is it's just, these things aren't sporadic. You know, these are planned out thoughts, planned out, like, you know, shoots and stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, that there is work that goes into it. It's not just like, oh, feeling cute today. And I mean, some people do fine by being more spontaneous in that way, and maybe they can get away with doing slightly less like work in that regard. I think for me, because I'm more focused on my like static blog, I do focus a lot of time and effort on those high-res photos because I want to be able to post them like in my blog posts. And even though like once in a while, especially at an event or at like a show at the Hippodrome or something where I can't bring cameras, I will post something from my phone. And it always, like, it's so funny to me that like kind of a shitty phone post might get more likes than, you know, something I like styled and made to look really nice. But I do think to a certain extent, and this goes against like my aesthetic ethos because I'm a perfectionist, I'll be honest. But I think people are looking for more of that like gritty realism on Instagram, you know, like because so many people shoot on DSLRs now and you know, everything is that like polished, perfect Instagram life. People like a little bit of, oh, that photo's kind of blurry. All right, I'll double tap.
Yeah, right.
Because at least it feels like a little more in the moment. So I try not to obsess over things because in the end, there's no need to be a perfectionist.
So I guess as we sort of wind down and everything, are there any like thoughts that you have, or any kind of like other advice or things for people out there? I know, another broad stroke.
Yeah, I guess just if there's anyone out there who wants to start their own blog or try their hand at, you know, being an influencer and working with brands intentionally, just do it. I think so often, you know, we see other people doing amazing things, and I was definitely in this bucket where, you know, I was seeing what all the other Baltimore bloggers were doing, and it was really cool, and I was like, how the heck am I ever going to get to 2,000 followers and like be invited to awesome events and, you know, churn out blog posts, and, you know, we get in our own way. And there are certainly endeavors that I think take more like thought and planning, like starting a business, but blogging and being an influencer is not one of them. Like the boundary to entry is like down here. It's so, you know, spend like $150 on your Bluehost and your WordPress, and just do it. And nothing has to be perfect from the start. I mean, my first couple blog posts were all iPhone photos, and that's fine for what they were. Like I was learning as I did it. So, just go for it.
Awesome.
Don't get in your own way.
That's true. Yeah, I think people do. They start to overthink it and everything like that, and you can be your own worst enemy with that kind of stuff, for sure. Well, awesome. So this has been a lot of fun. So as with every episode, we have our thank you gifts for our guests.
Is that a pog?
Yes. So this is a pog,
my gosh,
straight from the 90s.
I still have my pog collection.
That's awesome.
It is in a shoebox in Thailand. But now I feel like I need to bring it back next time I go.
There you go.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's a pog, and then we also have this nice, this nice Two-Tone Productions pin.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down today. It has been awesome chatting with you. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.